Elizabeth.
I'm also eager to talk about partnerships, the partnerships that we found with each other, the partnerships we're going to find with all of our new friends here, and the partnerships that are going to help us become leaders along with the next president. So we've spent the day describing the challenges facing our next leader: an uncertain financial situation, increasing economic inequality, unsustainable domestic spending, an intractable war, a looming energy crisis, growing security threats, and eroding international esteem. This is a sobering inheritance for the next president, and it's a frightening reality for us today. We've asked out loud, is this the unprecedented crossroads where cliches about the worst of times are becoming reality? I don't think we'll ever know in historical perspective if this is the worst of times, but it is our time, and it is our critical moment, and it is our time, the only time we have to do something about it right now. Next, we've asked, what are we going to ask the next president to deal with this complex, critical time in our national life right now? What should we ask of him or her? And while this discussion has been illuminating and challenging, it seems, I must confess, a little inadequate. The scale of what we're asking of the next president, of the long list of challenges ahead of him or her, is totally unmatched with the fact that the president is one person. And so this strategy seems a little unfeasible. The dark problems require not one leader possessing a laundry list of golden attributes, one that we can discern through another list of questions, but it requires a community of leaders, a community with diverse skills and perspectives, mutual accountability, and their hearts on their sleeves. What the next president must do is ask more of us. And what we should do maybe right now, instead of asking the next president to ask more of us, is turn to each other and ask more from each other. Turn directly to each other and ask specific questions. The problems we face are beyond the capability or capacity of one leader to solve. So we and our next leaders must build intentional communities of leaders committed to each other and committed to the public good. Rather than waiting and searching for the next chosen man or woman to step into the arena, we have to find each other, and we have to take on the mantle of our shared vision and values. We must mindfully foster groups of bright, concerned individuals so that we can step into the arena together. Such a community has been created at the Center for Public Leadership with the Zuckerman Fellowship and Reynolds Fellowship and the other fellowship programs. Here, graduate students from professional schools seek a second degree oriented toward public service after leaving or attaining a degree at a professional school. The future leaders create leadership networks where skills and passion are shared. These communities can and do exist all around us. They exist at our individual tables. Simply, we just have to turn to each other and ask more from each other in small and big ways. In small ways, we must ask each other, what do you care about? Where do you find meaning? What way do you want to change the world? How can you be accountable for those dreams, and how can we help each other realize those visions? Sharing these questions in small groups makes us accountable, helps us articulate our role, and fosters the critical sense that we belong to something greater than ourselves. And we must ask more of each other in larger ways as well. We must ask people young and old to commit to national service. We must ask each other to pool our risk and resources to provide quality health care for all people, especially children. We must ask each other to address growing economic inequalities. We must ask for increased individual responsibility for the energy problem. We must ask ourselves what kind of education we want to provide for our children. Ask if we want to empower everyone to vote, even the poor and marginalized. Ask who of our skilled colleagues would be great to step into this public arena, even if they haven't considered elected office. Ask them directly to serve in that way. We must ask more of each other. We must resist the temptation to cling to the grounds we're on now. It's really easy in this era where we feel our dominance slipping to cling to where we are, to try to maintain our status as Americans foremost in the world. But that's not what's important. More than protecting the American way, the jobs, the economy, or our borders, is protecting our ideals. Those are ideals of equality of opportunity, democracy, and freedom. So let's put our values first. We must ask more of each other in these small and large ways, and I hope the next president will ask more of us. Lest you think the American people are not up to this challenge, which some might call a sacrifice, let me tell you a story. There's nowhere in the world where more is asked of an American than in the return to duty tent in Baghdad, Iraq. This is where soldiers who have recently been injured go to convalesce before returning to the field. And you might think, how can we ask this of them? How can we ask people who have just been attacked or aggressed or injured or hurt to go back out and continue defending our ideals? And I will tell you how and why we can ask this of each other. Actually, I'll tell you what a soldier would say. If you ask a soldier, how are you feeling right now? What they'd say is, eager to return to the field. And if you asked why, they'd say, because my buddy is there. And so I think what we must foster is this sense of belonging to each other, that we are part of a shared experience, we are part of a community. And given that, we're going to ask more of each other because it is our duty.